thank you so much for joining me today. A relatively new tribute band called My Status is Quo. I have so many questions about this, but usually what I ask here is how did you get into Status Quo? And the thing is, I realize there are four of you here, so we'll try and be as orderly as possible.
Well, it started basically when I was in the womb, believe it or not. So my mum and dad, this is what I've been told, they went to, when my mum was pregnant with me, they were at a Status Quo concert. So it must have been like the Riffs tour, I think, 2003. So as soon as the drones started before Caroline, apparently I started like jumping up and down in my mum's womb, and she had to keep going back and forward to the toilet, throughout the gig. So she missed half of it because of me, basically. So that was the kind of, must have been where it started. And then also growing up, my dad would play them all the time. I would just, I would say, who's that? Who's that? Who's that in the waistcoat? Things like that. And then it must have been when I was about 10, they got the reunion tour on Wembley. And I was 10, so that was, as soon as I heard like Backwater Soul, that was me hooked. And then I was obsessed. I actually remember I was watching a interview with you, Jamie, and you were saying that when you were at college, you would write about Status Quo in your assessments and all that. And that was me as well. That's everything that I would, even before I joined this college, I would always write about Status Quo and whatever the assessment was. So then just took it from there. And then I was, I got slagged for it, but that's, most people did. For like Status Quo, it's like, just the usual banter. But didn't stop me from, luckily, if I did stop, then I would be sitting here. So that's a plus side.
So for myself, I always remember sort of as a kid, my mum and dad had the Live Aid DVD. So my kind of earliest memories of Quo anyway is seeing that kind of like iconic performance of when they opened, and just remembering sort of Rick's shirt as well, just the colour of it. It was just so like bright, and it's like you couldn't miss it really. But I think just that performance of at Live Aid, they obviously opened and stood out, but them, Bowie, U2 and Queen, I feel like that was the four that really stood out for me is from that kind of DVD. But Quo had the crowd going like straight away, so that's definitely for me my first introduction to Quo. And then I kind of knew the hits from there, and this process of Kyle wanting to start this band, Kyle and Tom, I've sort of delved more into it now. But that was definitely my first introduction as a kind of kid, yeah.
Okay. Tom, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go. So how did I start? I think it was I've got an older brother who's a lot older, and he's a huge Status Quo fan. So he had gone to see them like at End of the Road. I think he'd seen them a good few times. But Dad had bought him a CD for his birthday. But it turned out he already had it. So Dad ended up just keeping it in the car. So it was just in the car. So when he was driving me and my mates to rugby, it was the only CD there was. So like, all right, well, let's just put that on then. So just every week we were just listening to it. So it just kind of sunk in that way. Just slowly crept in. And then I think I'm the same as Mark. I'd seen them at the Live Aid. I think that was one of my first bands I remember watching on YouTube and getting excited about. I was like, oh my goodness, I could be. I just imagined I was them, if you know what I mean, in that kind of way.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that's it. Live Aid and that CD in the car.
So I'm still quite relatively new to like this whole Quo sort of space. So it was like my dad was quite a big Quo fan. He would always him and his pals would always get tickets for like Christmas and that, and they would go down just a big group of them and just have a good time listening to the Quo. And then so like I was kind of like in the car when I was getting brought up. There would be like like the hits like Rockin' All Over the World, Down Down, Caroline, stuff like that playing. Like it wasn't really till Kyle asked me to play bass for this project where like I've really sort of like delved into like the deeper tracks in that. Is like what Kyle was saying earlier, is like the solo of Backwater. Absolutely love that solo. It's one of my favorite solos of all time now, which is just I wouldn't have known that unless I'd joined this wee project here. So that's kind of like just still getting into them now. Planning on continuing doing that because they're really, really good.
Excellent. Well, let's move beyond that and ask, how did My Status Is Quo begin? Like, where did the idea come from, and how did you kind of? It's very easy to say you're going to start one, but what are kind of the steps to it happening?
I think it started. So it's Kyle. Kyle's in the year above me at college. We all go to the same college at the moment, and
He's older, just so you know.
I'm older.
He's
Yes,
older. Yeah. When you say the year
wiser,
above me, aye.
far wiser, and more experienced.
I don't know about that.
And yeah, so I was in college one day, and I was just wearing a Status Quo T-shirt I had from it was that reunion tour, the 2014 one T-shirt, and our lecturer Stuart noticed me wearing it. I know somebody in the year above that loves Status Quo, and you need to speak to him. So just took it from there, really.
Mm-hmm. So Stuart did tell me about Tom, and I was like, right, I need to meet him. I messaged him on a thing called Teams. Did I get a reply? No. He saw the message. He saw the message. I must have said something like, "Oh, it's not every day you meet like a co-head, blah blah blah," quite corny stuff, right? And then he just saw. I saw that he saw it. I was like, well, I wasn't stressing, but I was like saying it to my girlfriend. I was like, he's seen the message, but he's no replied to me. So I don't know what Tom doesn't know this, but I looked him up on Facebook. I was like, I need to know what he looks like. I thought, there's a guy with like long hair with a bass guitar. Right, that must be. I'm in the right, ballpark. And I thought, right, I know what he kind of looks like. And I was at college one day. Mark was beside me, and then Tom was looking for.
Yeah.
Do you remember that, Mark?
I do remember that. Yeah.
He was looking for a guitar, and then the first thing I said to him was like, also I knew who he was, right? But the first thing I said was, "You've got long hair." That was, and it kind of started from there. And I said, "Are you into Status Quo?" And I wasn't going to say that I've been looking at you on Facebook. I'm not going to say I've been stalking you on Facebook.
Just research. It's not stalking.
Yeah, research. Aye. So then I just kind of took it from there, and then I bumped into each other quite a few times after that. And he was like, I said, we should get something going. So then he added each other on WhatsApp and got talking and looking for. Originally, we were going to go for like just us two playing the songs, and so I was like thinking of the songs that we could do, like Gardanula, things like that would work in a two-piece set. But then Tom was like, "No, we need to get a bass and our drummer." I said, "Right, okay. I've worked with Drew and Mark before in previous bands and stuff," and I thought, right, okay. And I knew that they were into Status Quo somewhat, and I thought, right, they're the kind of people to go to, and I should say they're good players.
But all right. Yeah.
And so I took it from there, and Drew kind of left me hanging on. Like I asked him, and he was like, "Okay, I'll get back to you." And I was like, "He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it." But then he did, and then that was it.
Have you played your first gig yet? You did.
Yeah. Semi. It was a part of the bands thing.
We had 4 fans, which was the most amount of fans there.
Then Billy from Status No was one of them. Yeah.
Shout out to Billy.
But yeah, no, that was a really fun experience. So it's in a bar called Slouch, which has got this like amazing like window, like kind of bay window almost that you could see out of. So we were kind of in front of that on this nice stage. So it was a lovely place, and went up against a couple of bands, and we won, which was great. So they sort of vote for you on Instagram stories. And we won. We won 200 quid for it as well, so that wasn't too bad. It was a decent way to start, anyway.
We've peaked
Tom
too
spent
soon.
Tom spent it all on the first night.
Oh, yeah. That was an epic drive home. That.
Yeah, we got lost, and I don't drive, and I need to know the place to know my directions. We dropped off Mark first, and we're in some part of Glasgow I've never been to before, and I lost my bearings, and yeah, I couldn't remember how to get home.
I think it was the fact that also that both our phones were at like 2% battery.
And mine wasn't switching on.
No, I was like, Kyle, do you absolutely know where to go? Because my phone's away to die. He's like, oh yeah, fine, no problem.
Yeah,
that was a fun wee adventure.
So it was a fun first experience,
Yeah.
all the drama.
yeah, that's what we made. Rock and roll, getting lost. Ended up at McDonald's at 1 o'clock in the morning.
A nice charge.
College the next day.
Yeah. Had it not been for that, though, I would have had no charge whatsoever on my phone for getting back. That would have been a night in a tent. I've got an emergency tent in the boot just in case.
Given your age, like, where are your inspirations with Quo coming from? Because I speak to a lot of tribute bands, and some of them will say, oh, it's the 70s stuff, and others will say, oh, it's the Just Doing It DVD. Like, whereabouts do you sit?
Me personally, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm quite easy Ozzy. Tom, he's more into the.
I'm more the older stuff, I would say. My first time seeing them was that reunion tour. That's what really kind of captured my imagination. Although that being said, I've got a few guilty pleasures of a couple of tracks. What's the one? There's nothing left. There's nothing right. There's nothing left. Right. Up. Down. I'll listen to that one by myself. But
everyone knows now.
Yeah.
How did you go about choosing your set list? I mean, with something like a Battle of the Bands, that's not really technically a Quo audience. That's sort of more of a general audience, I would imagine. So how did you go about selecting?
It was me. I kind of took the role. I just kind of said, right, we're going to do this. I kind of took the rough layout from different sets that they did. So, like, the End of the Road, McCaroline into Roverlay Down, how they do it, Down, Wherever You Want, into Rockin' the World. Because I also think about keys and all that and how they fall through each other. And I also, bearing in mind the time that we had to learn the songs as well, so I was kind of thinking of songs that wouldn't take much learning.
For the first set we did, it was just what we knew. It's like, what can we play already? Oh, okay.
The promoter kept changing his mind. It was like, so you're going to be doing 3 songs, and 1 song the first round, 2 songs the second round, and then, so we'll do 3 songs. And so I picked, was it Backwater? What was the first 3 original? Can't mind.
Rockin' was one of them. Rock and roll was one of them.
Backwater and In My Chair, I think maybe.
Yeah, In My Chair, yeah.
So we kind of had the ones down, and the guy was like, so each band will have 30 minutes slot. I was like, oh, God. This is like a week before. I was like, oh, my. So I'm like, messaging the group chat, right, we've got a problem. We need to learn another 3 songs at least. So, but that came together. We'd done Paper Plane previously, and that came together quite fast. Paper Plane, Backwater, Junior's Wailing, In My Chair, Rockin' the World. So that was that kind of set list for that. And so it is just basically basing the sets on how they done it, how they've done it, different sets, and kind of added in a few curves and, you know, extra bits.
I've always liked it when a song goes from like a straight beat into a shuffly beat, kind of like the Caroline Roll Over Lay Down intro. Like
Mm.
songs together, I think it's quite a good tactic.
Aye.
Yeah.
But it is a solid start, that. So we've kind of put, not to give anything away, we've put that in the current set, the now, that start, because I just think it's a good start.
And I think as well, everything came together really, really quick in the rooms. So like we would rehearse and things started to click quite quickly, which was really beneficial, as Kyle was saying, because we had that short turnaround initially where we had to play a longer set than we thought. But I think there's a kind of natural chemistry there that worked really well, and it sort of served us really well as well.
In rehearsal, was there anything that you guys got stuck on at any point? Anything you kind of had to keep going over or anything
Yes.
like that?
There wasn't a long enough video for that, Jamie.
Yeah. Some of my vocals could be pretty ropey. Just try to work out, because it's not until you start trying to sing the songs you realize just how high Rick Parfitt's parts are. It's like Paper Plane, for example, is an absolute nightmare. So we've had to bring it down to A instead of I think it was B flat originally, original key. So yeah, just vocal really is what I've had to work on the most, I would say.
And just wee minor timing bits. Just the, you know, that part in Backwater where it changes with the do. Just getting that tightened and stuff like that. So just like minor problems like that. Later on, there's going to be we're going to challenge ourselves, I think, to like, you know, like Slow Train and just
I've
the
always
bigger.
wanted to play Slow Train. I don't think there's going to be anything online anywhere to show you how to play that. I think that's
there is tabs, I think, somewhere.
Is there?
Well, a lot of those songs, they're sort of grounded very much in the bass and drums. So that must be hard, kind of, like you said, like switching from one thing to another, which a lot of those songs have. They have those changes that are grounded in that.
Yeah.
They're very intricate. That's the thing about a lot of Status Quo songs. A lot of the catalogue that I've been learning with the guys is quite new to me. So, like they were saying, there's little timing bits. There's bits where the drums drop out. There's like guitar solos. The actual arrangement of Quo songs, I would say, is a lot more interesting than probably people give them credit for, actually, as well. Because there's something like there's just a wee tiny something different every time, with just like a guitar part, or like, you know, roll over, lay down, like, you know, there's like the build up, and there's like all these sort of different little parts.
That's 100% agree with that, Mark. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of, I would say, like we were talking about Slow Train there. I'd say that's like Status Quo's Master of Puppets. Yeah, it's a big long epic song.
Like even how the songs like "Is It Really Me," "Gotta Go Home," 4,500 times, Roadhouse Blues, they all have sections where they do a lot of improv, which I always think I used to watch that. I've got the Definitive Hits CD, and it's got the "Is It Really Me," "Gotta Go Home" full, like 20-something minute long video, and I thought it's amazing how, you know, how well the play, like, you know, the Francis and Alan playing off each other, like the call and response thing. I always thought that was quite amazing how they managed to get it to work. That, you know, they long jam sessions, it's just obviously the amount of years that they've played together and stuff like that. I just think it's quite something.
Yeah, very spontaneous.
Yeah, and it works. It works. I just it was just always come home from school and then put that DVD on, and then I just sit and watch. I actually obviously pretend to play it as well. He used to get an awful sore neck every time.
Many people have done the same.
Mhm.
Drew, I notice you're quite quiet during these conversations. Is that because of your kind of new to Quo nature?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't really know all too much, so I'm just kind of letting the guys kind of take all the heavy lifting here. But I'll try hop in, give some wisdom.
Drew's full of wisdom.
Thanks, Gail.
Man.
I was going to ask you, Drew, like, was there anything that kind of surprised you when you were learning these parts?
Well, definitely a lot structurally. Structurally wise. It's like when people talk about Quo when they're like not really huge fans. Like some three chords? That's all they use. But then it's like, yeah, they use what like the first, third, and the fifth for like all the songs, which is obviously it's fine. But then all of a sudden, at like 2 minutes and 45 seconds, everything stopped, and then there's just like one guitar going, and then everything's back in, and then there's just a complete other different section just coming out of nowhere right at the end. So it's really quite difficult to wrap your head around as well. Like what I've noticed a lot learning the bass parts is like sometimes bass parts could just be like root notes, and then sometimes just on like the most random song it's like the most intricate bass line I've ever tried to play, and it's quite it's a lot to get your head around.
What's intricate about it? Like, is it the complexity? Is it the number of notes? Is it like the feel?
It's like, well, obviously it's always like a bum ba bum ba bum sort of like swingy sort of thing on the bass, but then it's like you just get used to playing the notes that you're playing, and then all of a sudden you're like up an octave, you're doing a wee bass run, you're completely changing the chords that you're doing, all that stuff. So it's like obviously I've not really listened to the songs as much as the other guys, so like a lot of the changes kind of catch me off guard, and it's just a bit mental sometimes as well.
Yeah. Do you guys have any gigs coming up? Have you booked any?
Mhm.
We do, yeah, we do. So we're actually playing. Depends when this comes out, but we're playing Nice and Sleazy's this coming Sunday. So on the 1st.
Yeah.
And then we go to Edinburgh to play at HMV on June the 14th
Yep.
as well. So we've got a couple of upcoming gigs. So kind of really excited for them, especially the sort of Sleazy's one. That'll be a kind of first real rodeo, a sort of headline show. And yeah, buzzing for that. Can't wait.
We shall come into the closing moments of this interview, but I just wanted to ask about, well, there's a couple of things. I'd like you each to name kind of a guilty pleasure from the Quo catalogue. You can say "ain't complaining" again if you like, and perhaps something that you and something that you really like from it as well. Either something you've played or something that maybe you'd like to play in the future.
A guilty pleasure. I've got a couple. I've got All Around My Hat.
Oh, you said you hated
It's
that.
like some sort of cover album. I'm not sure what CDs it was in the car.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Is that
Yeah.
what it's from? All Around My Hat. That's probably my guiltiest of guilty. And then one of my favorites. I like Rain. I think Rain's probably got to be my favorite. Rain, or there's a similar one, and I keep forgetting the name of it, Kyle, but it's, I'll come back to me. I'll remember it.
I don't really have like a guilty pleasure Quo song. It's like all the ones that I've heard I really like, and that's just it. But definitely my favorite's definitely Backwater. Absolutely, that solo is just phenomenal. Absolutely brilliant. So Bag War is definitely up there in Status Quo for me.
I'd say, to be fair, and I think I'll get hammered for this too, but I think my guilty pleasure. I like a bit of Margarita Time, by the way. I think it's a good song. I think it's a good song. I think
Oh, that's
people
big and
don't like
bold.
it, but I think it's catchy. I like it. So that's my guilty pleasure. And then a favourite tune, I'd probably have to go for. I'd go Caroline. I think Caroline, just with that iconic riff at the start, is just kind of even. I can associate that again from being a kid and watching that Live Aid DVD. Just Rick playing that riff is so iconic, I think, and I think that's got to be my favourite. Yeah.
And he gets his hand caught in the wire from the camera as well
Yeah.
as he's doing it.
Yeah.
Camera comes too close and, hand goes
like-
up.
It would get in the way of his right hand. It's a powerful machine.
Powerful weapon, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't really say a favourite. I've got like each album. I've always got a favourite. Like, from the start, the Picture of Matchstick Men, or like things like it's Picture of Matchstick Men and Ice in the Sun. Technicolor Dreams is a favourite of mine. Spare Parts. I remember Mr. Mind Detector. That's like that goes mad at the end. I like Can't Give You More. I'd like to play in the band. You'll Come Around. Dirty Water. Blessed Are the Meek. That's the way it goes. Things like that. Of anything related, I'll be happy to play it. I did suggest putting Can't Give You More. That'd be a good one.
Would you play it in C or A though?
Probably both. I mean,
What's easier to sing?
I know. Probably, I heard Francis's version of it, like, and when he done was it St. Luke's something?
Yeah.
That was the name. I think that key is not that it sounds better, but it's brings out more. I think I think that's my personal opinion. I always think it can I would say it probably. Don't want to say it sounds better, but I prefer the sound and it just brings it out more, because as in C, it is a hard song to sing. Because it's up there in the be all technical here. It's up in the like G4 and A4 and all that way up there. So I think possibly an A. It depends, where it's going to be in the set as well. If it flows in the set, so probably will be an A, because most of the songs that we've got are in A, so it'll be easier to let it all flow.
Yeah. Have you remembered the title yet, Tom?
Yes, I have. Take Me Away off the Never Too Late album.
Oh,
That's the one.
I like how you say that. It's a new album.
Yeah. One of the newer ones. Yeah, and then there's another fast one off that I liked as well.
Oh, Riverside. I like Riverside. Don't
But-
Stop Me Now.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's that. Railroad, another one I like.
You mentioned being at college. Are you studying music?
Yeah.
All of you? Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
so we are we're all we are all actually. So Tom is the year below us, but we're all sort of doing a HND in music performance just now. So we go to a place, Riverside Music College, so we are kind of Glasgow based. So that's a kind of music college up there, and it's an amazing facility. Like there used to be an old recording studio, I believe in the 80s. And they sort of transformed it into college, but we all go there. And me, Kyle, and Drew are all in second year, and Tom's in first year. But it's a good place to learn your craft, so to speak. Anyway, like from a performance standpoint, you do tons of stuff like stagecraft and all that, and obviously with Quo that comes in handy with all the the dance moves in that on stage with the guitars.
Is there sort of any opposition you find, any negativity around the fact that you guys want to play Status Quo?
I don't think so. I haven't encountered any. Not that I'm aware of, anyway.
Yeah. I remember there was on Instagram there was a comment. I think it was Paper Plane.
Oh, that's when I was butchering Paper Plane at their first rehearsal.
No, actually, it sounded fine. Some guy commented, "Dearie dear," and I'm like, or "Dear me," something he said, but
as dear me, dearie me.
dearie me. But
That's quite polite criticism, though, to be
Yeah.
fair. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, very
It's like
reserved.
the politest critique I've ever heard.
I mean, I remember being at high school when there was some guy who was like saying, he said, "Oh, you're never going to find somebody to play Status Quo with," and things like that. He said, "Oh, that's so who are you going to find to play Status Quo?" And then so I thought, you'll get people that will be like, "See, since we've been doing it, but it's not really, we don't really care what people think."
Yeah.
Because we're in the bubble, so to speak, and we're just enjoying doing it, and we've not actually thought about any what people would if we think we're rubbish or anything like that, because we've been too caught up in the actual moment. Too caught
I
up in
think
the
as
moment.
well, it's one of those things where it's like, no matter what you do in life, somebody's going to have an opinion about it, or you're going to get criticised. So
If anything,
we're only here a short time, so you're as well doing what you enjoy and what you want to do in life. So you just need to go with it, go with what you're passionate about, and we want to play music from this like really great band. So that's what we'll do, and everyone else can just deal with it, really, whether they like it or not.
Exactly. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
My Status is Quo is, as you say, on Facebook and Instagram. Where did the name come from?
Oh, well, that's
Because-
another story.
Yeah. Okay.
I had one. I thought it was quite good, but it was backfired. Like it was quite. I was kind of trying to be clever. Originally, I put no contract from the song, no contract from the Back to Back album. I thought I could put in a song. I've seen bands doing this, like put in get a song name and then get the Status Quo in the actual title of the song. That was the idea, and that was everyone kind of was like that.
Mark like no contract.
I did quite like it.
Until
But I liked Tom. Tom then came in, swooped in, like later on down the line with like My Status is Quo, and I was like, yeah, that's really good. So yeah,
I've always liked tribute band names when the name of the band is actually in it, if you know what I mean. So like, all we need to add is my and is, and a tiny little my and a tiny little is, and then you could just make it look like Status Quo. I think that was the the thought. But there's Status Quo as well. I think.
yeah, they didn't make the final cut that one, but that was it was in the running for a while. Yeah.
Me and Tom, it was after one of the rehearsals. We went to the college to record our version of the opening that Status Quo did with the "Everybody there wants to rock." Sorry about my English accent, by the way. That was bad. We went to college, recorded that, and it was. And Tom's actually he's quite good at the English accent, and it actually worked quite well. And we recorded that, and we're planning to play that before we go on stage.
Yeah, to build
And
the hype.
put in like My Status is, just the full, our take on it.
Yeah, Tom should probably, if I think he'd be a good voiceover artist. And so if anyone's got any TV
I've always
work
actually
or
kind
that
of
they
wanted
want
to
to
give it
offer
a
him,
shot. To be fair, I'll try
Yeah.
one day.
no, honestly, his accents are really, really good.
Thanks, guys. It's something really fun about yelling into the microphone as well. Like, you never normally get to yell into a microphone.
Plus, at college, it's free. We
Yeah.
could do it free
Yeah,
at the
you can-
college.
You can damage as many mics as you want.
Aye.
That's an interesting kind of admission, though, isn't it? How did you break this one? I was trying to sound like Jackie Linton.
I actually remember that off topic, but I remember hearing that the Proclaimers actually broke a few microphones to how they sang.
Mm-hmm.
Because they used like old-fashioned microphones, and I remember hearing that they were singing that, like basically shouting, the microphones packed in, doing the recordings.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my Status is Quo, as I say, is on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you, Mark, Drew, Kyle, and Tom, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Very much, David.
Thank you very much.